Hello, my friends. How are y'all doing out there? I hope that you are doing well. Today, I wanted to take some time to remind Americans, and especially America's working class, that Donald Trump is no fan of the working class. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump hates the working class, and that, my friends, is going to be the premise of today's video. I was kind of looking around through the news today, and it seems like the big story is still the absolute incompetence of that drunk Pete Hegseth and Russian asset Tulsi Gabbard and couch humper JD Vance and little Marco Rubio are still incredibly incompetent. Not only are they incompetent, they're still lying about their little signal chat where they accidentally invited a reporter, a journalist, to come in and listen to all their top secret government war plans. And, you know, as much as I'd like to keep harping on that, what I'd really like to do is kind of stick to the roots of what this channel is really about, right? The meat and potatoes of what this channel is, because of course we're going to cover the news, of course we are, but what we're really going to do is keep hammering the point home, if I have to make 30,000 fucking videos about it, about how Donald Trump is, how he absolutely hates the working class of America, and he is against us. He is not with us. And my friends, no matter how long I live, in all of my years, I will never ever understand how so much of the working class, paycheck to paycheck, blue collar, hope I get some overtime this week Americans fell for Donald Trump. And that's what we're going to talk about more today. Like I said, I don't care how many videos it takes. We have got to get the word out there and start changing the mind of people that keep falling for this bullshit over and over. So what I want to start with today, first of all, is Donald Trump's first term, where for some reason, lots of blue-collar Americans look back on it very fondly and say that the economy was so amazing under Donald Trump. And I don't have an explanation for why people think this, other than they must have fucking amnesia, or other than the fact that Donald Trump pats himself on the back every chance he gets. Donald Trump goes on the news or whatever to talk about the great thing that he did, and most of the time, he's just talking about the great thing that someone else did, and he's taking credit for it. Because if we know anything about Donald Trump, is that he's a lazy, fat tub of shit that has no motivation whatsoever unless it's stealing the working class's money, but he doesn't actually do anything besides play golf. So what he wants to do is take somebody else's good accomplishments and take credit for them and say that he did it. So what we know is that Donald Trump came in his first presidency on Obama's economy, and there was a lot of work done under the Obama administration to improve the fucking mess that George W. Bush left behind, which is a recurring theme in this country. Republican president inherits good economy from Democrat president, takes full credit for everything that's going on, proceeds to trash the fucking economy, handing it off to a Democrat to once again fix, all while spending all the years of that next Democrat president's term blaming them for the bad economy. It just repeats itself over and fucking over again. So Donald Trump rode that wave of the Biden administration's economy for many years, talking about how great everything was. Now, we were already starting to see the downfall of the economy before COVID. We were starting to see slips in like manufacturing jobs, things like that. You know, it was already starting to show signs of going down. The economy was not improving. It was slowly starting to get worse. Now, Donald Trump probably could have got away with that. Hey, you know, sometimes things are just rough. But then Donald Trump did some Donald Trump bullshit where he thinks he knows better than everyone else. I will never, ever figure out why he lied about COVID. There are plenty of theories out there about why he lied about it, but he lied about a pandemic. And what happened in America was that caused about half of the population to believe every bullshit thing that Donald Trump and Fox News said, to the point that we had I don't want to pick the wrong words sometimes. I don't know what word I'm looking for there. Assholes. Let's call them assholes. Down at their local grocery store, yelling at 19-year-old cashiers because the cashier said, "Hey, sir, can you put your mask on?" And they started screaming about their freedoms being taken away from them because they had to put a fucking mask on. You guys remember that? It was fucking nuts. And then, of course, I'll never stop harping on this either. Donald Trump, by denying a pandemic, by lying about what was going on, by just merely suggesting maybe we inject bleach, the end result was 1 million Americans died when we could have, I don't know, prepared for what was coming, listened to the science, taken precautions, and just dealt with the shit like adults instead of this whiny bullshit that we were doing. After Donald Trump got 1 million people killed, he caused huge problems in the economy with all the people getting laid off or fired from their jobs. As it relates to me in driving a truck, out here trucking, fuel prices went through the fucking roof. The supply chain was absolutely devastated. You had truckers sitting down there in the ports of LA waiting for a week to pick up their next load so they could go make some money. And if anybody's curious about how much money a trucker makes when they're sitting around waiting, the answer most of the time is fucking nothing. Now, there's things in place where we're supposed to make a little bit of money for sitting around, and we don't always get that, and it's significantly less than what we would make had we been doing our fucking jobs. So you got truckers sitting out there for a week going fucking bankrupt, supply chains completely decimated. Anybody that was a trucker that was paying for their own fuel was paying extreme high prices to put fuel in their truck, and this was all the result of Donald Trump completely mismanaging COVID. So for me personally, look, I don't just talk about the blue collar workers and how they vote against their own interest, and maybe they should do better. Sorry about that, I coughed a little bit. Maybe they should do better and stop listening to right-wing propaganda media and do better. I don't just say this for the sake of fucking saying it. I live that life, baby. I'm out here in this truck every day of my fucking life, and I watched the absolute destruction of Donald Trump as he chose not only to do nothing, because do nothing would have been better, he chose to fucking lie to everybody. That's the recap of the last administration. It gets worse, my friends. It gets fucking worse, because this time, this new Trump administration is 100% a full-scale assault on working class Americans. Your farmers that he's bankrupting. Oh, that's a big one, right? The farmers that he's bankrupting, suspiciously, while JD has his hands, he's in some sort of partnership or ownership with a app that you can get on your smartphone called Acre Trader. And Acre Trader is where a bunch of millionaires and billionaires go to buy your farm from you. They can invest in your farmland or whatever. I haven't specifically looked at Acre Trader, but the point I'm trying to make is JD Vance has a huge interest in buying out farmland at a discounted rate, all while Donald Trump and Elon Musk are cutting off funding to farmers. They are cutting off programs such as USAID, where farmers were selling their products. Farmers make a lot of money through the WIC program that helps feed Americans that need food, children specifically. Absolutely fucking devastating these farms, just bankrupting them, and a huge portion of that is JD Vance's interest in farmers going broke so that he can handle it. There's probably other interests that I don't necessarily understand, like helping of course the big agriculture companies. I've talked about it a little bit before, but helping them to buy out these farms for pennies on the dollar so that they can mass produce and make more profit, while the little guy at the bottom, us, my friends, goes absolutely fucking broke on that. So there's our devastation to the farmers that is 100% a thing where we are seeing, not to mention deporting our workforce. Look, I have to say this every time I bring this up. I know it's not a good system. I know that it is exploiting people. I understand that that's the way it is, but it is the American system, as flawed as it fucking is. Deporting all of their workforce, or scaring them enough that they won't go to work, that now the farmers can't get any funding that they desperately need. They don't have the programs like we already went over, and now they don't even have a fucking workforce to go out there and do the job to help bring food to us chubby Americans. And I'm included in that because as I get older, I just get a little bit more chubby by the day. It's the American way, my friends. That's what we do. But on top of that, I am sick to death of fucking working class America falling for this shit. And it's not even in any kind of logical way. It turns out owning the libs and owning yourself in the process isn't the best fucking theory when you're going to vote for a fucking president, but we continue in huge numbers to fall for it. And then when I bring it up in videos, I know you guys tell me sometimes don't look at your comments, but I have to, because that's what keeps me in tune with what people are saying out there. My own goddamn comment section. So I scroll through the fucking thing and I see the stupidity every day. And we listen to people say, oh yeah, well, Joe Biden allowed 1 billion illegal transgender mice to bring fentanyl across the border, and you support that? And you're like, no, none of this actually happened. What did happen in this scenario is you listened to that fucking clown ass Jesse Waters that fucking preaches to us real working Americans about masculinity, about what masculinity is, because he can't believe that Tim Walz would drink a milkshake out of a straw. Meanwhile, Jesse Waters has to put on all his makeup before he can go on and do his show. He does a show for a living. Wow, what a tough masculine thing to do. I'm not saying that men don't do those shows. Sometimes shit just comes out of my mouth and I can't control it. What I'm saying is that maybe Jesse Waters should stop lecturing American men on what masculinity is while he's got all his makeup on, is all I'm saying. And if I'm gonna have a goddamn milkshake, which I don't, because dairy kind of upsets my tummy, it's not a good situation for me, but if I'm gonna have a milkshake, I'm probably gonna use a straw. You know why, Jesse Waters? Because I grow this mustache right here, and if I put the cup up to my lips, I'm gonna have fucking ice cream all over it. So I'm going to use a straw because I can grow facial hair, Jesse Waters. You might not understand what I'm trying to tell you right now, but one day when you grow up, when those nuts drop, son, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. I got sidetracked. I forgot what the fuck I was saying, but I'm sick. Oh, the lies. They just fall for the lies over and over, and I'm fucking sick of these huge for-profit right-wing media outlets that their whole business plan is to lie to the American people, scare the living shit out of them about things that aren't even happening. Also, they can continue to profit off the backs of us, the working class, my friends. And look, I'm not going to say that left-wing media is necessarily innocent. Sure, they fuck up. Still pissed off at Joe Scarborough. Fuck Joe Scarborough, in case nobody's sure how I feel about him. Fuck Joe Scarborough. But what I'm saying is that right-wing media, every bit of it, every fucking bit of it. There might be some conservative talk shows somewhere out there, conservative whatever, might still be alive. It's not alive under Donald Trump, but I'm talking about the for-profit, whether that be a news outlet or even your big influencers across social media. It's all a lie. 100% every bit of it. And we need to fucking wake up to that. And we need to start voting for our best interest instead of listening to a bunch of bullshit like we do, because it's all lies. And to further prove my point about everything that's going on in this Donald Trump administration, because I forgot about that almost 10 minutes ago, didn't I? Probably not that long ago. But look at what has happened, aside from destroying America's farmers, small family farms. They are firing veterans. Okay? We're never going to let them live that down. Like I said, I don't care if I got to make 30,000 videos on the same fucking topics. We're never going to let them live that down. And I still cannot comprehend the blue-collar working Americans that are cheering this on and saying we need to fire our veterans because they're waste, fraud, and abuse, and then like saying some wild shit that doesn't even make sense, that isn't the fucking problem. Well, Josh, my name's Josh, so they always say to me, they say, well, Josh, don't you think that instead of worrying about if veterans have jobs, we could do something about all the homeless veterans out there? Yeah, we could do both. We could do fucking both. Absolutely. We could start, I don't know, helping Americans instead of firing Americans so that a billionaire, the world's richest man, can find tax cuts for him so that he could keep more of his money. That's the thing. The last thing we should be interested in is how much of a tax cut Elon Musk gets while he's running around doing Nazi shit. We should stop worrying about how much money Elon Musk gets to keep. But firing all these veterans, shutting down departments, empowering people like Marjorie fucking Taylor Greene to say that working class Americans don't have real jobs and don't deserve paychecks. My friends, what I'm trying to tell you is obviously there is a class war going on here. It is 100% the billionaires and the millionaires against us working class slobs or whatever we are. I don't know. Are we slobs? I kind of look like it sometimes. I definitely feel like it a lot. But it's them against us, right? But the fucking problem is so many of the working class people are going along with it. They're cheering this on and they're saying it's a good thing. And they are fucking us all in the process. And I mean, that's a problem. And I guess the entire point of the video is Donald Trump and his administration and every MAGA Republican out there in an elected office is against us. They don't like us and they like to see us broke. And that is 100% the goal of the Donald Trump administration, is to keep us broke and to keep us believing his bullshit when he lies about how great everything is. And if he was right about the shit he says, if he understood even a little bit of the shit that he says he understands, why does he keep starting trade wars over and over, getting his ass kicked in these trade wars, and then taking back the tariffs only to come back and do it again? How many times does Donald Trump have to touch the hot stove before he realizes the motherfucker's hot? He's dumb as hell. He's dumb as a fucking brick. And I, for one, am sick to death of watching us, our very own, the working class, blue collar, paycheck to paycheck, just getting by Americans, cheer this on and vote for them to take our money. And when things get worse, we lie and we say that it's better. And that's the fucking video. That's what I think today. Anyways, I got to get back to work. I love you guys. Bye now.